Thank you. Appreciate it. Hi, everybody. I'm Kevin Jonas. Thank you so much for having me. If you're wondering why I'm here and why I'm interested in this space, I am someone that loves tech, someone that loves social. I've been using it a long time for my own personal benefit and a lot of the things that I've done with me and my brothers for a long time now in my individual life. I've loved what emerging platforms are doing. That's how we met, working on a bunch of different campaigns. We're going to sit down and kind of make this more like a fireside chat. He's going to ask me some questions about my experiences, and we're going to talk about some of the platforms that we work with. So, there we go.
First, I'm going to run you through a little bit of the background of Snapchat, why I think you guys should have a radar, whether or not you think it might be relevant to your brand right now. That's quite a young platform, but it really is one of the strongest storytelling platforms out there. You can learn a lot from how brands right now are really engaging their audiences on it. So first of all, Pop Shorts, we do a lot of social media campaigns, mainly the new media, Snapchat, Instagram, Vine, Facebook. Twitter is really our specialty. We do campaigns which really tell a consistent story across all of these social platforms. So first we want to poll the audience and see how many of you actually use Snapchat. So just raise your hand.
Okay, more than 50%, that's pretty good.
And what about as a brand? How many of your brands use Snapchat?
One, love it.
I think this is one. Okay.
That's awesome, good job. He wins, gold star.
Let's ask you, as a brand, are you concerned that the content disappears from Snapchat?
Good.
Why not? Just curious.
It's a way for us to, we kind of use it in the office. It's a way to connect on a more personal level.
Great.
So even though it does disappear, we put the content that we really need a lot of other channels that we can use this for.
Exactly. Snapchat, to give you a little background as to why we're speaking about Snapchat instead of Facebook, which is easily shareable, Twitter, same thing, Tumblr, all of the amazing other platforms that are out there. The reason we focus, and I've found a lot of benefit in Snapchat, is the fact that with my own personal socials, and we'll dive into this in just a little bit, but with my own personal socials, if I was to post the same photo on Snapchat or Twitter, I have close to about 5 million people on Twitter that follow me. On Snapchat, I have close to about 800,000. I'll have about 100,000 impressions on Twitter, but on Snapchat, I'll have 240,000 every single day, no matter what I post, with every single snap. So the valued engagement is so much higher and so much more every single day that, of course, I'm going to start spending time and energy and money in this space, but there are limitations, but there's really unique ways to get around those.
And my last question is, raise your hand if you sold out for $3 billion.
No, that should be 100% of everyone in the no. Well, if they're valued right now at 15 billion, I think they win. So, right? I guess they're okay.
I'm going to go a bit into the growth of Snapchat. You can kind of see here in this graph how fast Snapchat's really been adopted. They actually recently announced that 100 million plus daily active users, which is pretty ridiculous. And 65% of the users are actually consuming content, but are creating content every single day on the platform. Obviously millennials are overrepresented at the moment, so women on the platform, but you're going to kind of see that, I think, even out as time goes on.
Absolutely.
You kind of go and take a look at the market penetration. So obviously 18 to 24, you're seeing huge adoption there. But you're also seeing the other ones kind of come about, and 25, 34 is really growing. I saw a lot of hands go up in the air. Who's actually using it, which is a lot more than last time I asked that question. And even 35 plus, more and more people are using it as a way to communicate with each other. Sexting was the number one reason people thought people downloaded the app initially, and you really don't really use it for that anymore. Only 2%, which is good for them.
Yeah. Good for those 2%. When it comes to this platform, it is at its core a messaging app. That's what's interesting about it. Most people see it as something else now that they've introduced stories, but at its core, it's the one-to-one engagement with the users and the people that do follow you that makes this thing feel different than every other platform out there, and you also get the better engagement.
Yeah, I'd say that the engagement is a little bit different. I talk about passes real quick. Friday and Saturdays are really popular to post content, you've seen it. And then also at night in the afternoon, when people are kind of relaxing and unwinding, it's a little bit different than other social platforms. Maybe people are using it at work. This is a bit more, when people are back from work or back from class and kind of getting back.
Absolutely.
This guy, Why Millennials Love Snapchat. This guy actually did a really cool article on basically teenagers' view on social media written by an actual team. And he goes into each individual platform. So if you haven't read it, there's a link there, and you can download this later, and you should actually read the whole thing. It's pretty cool. But what he thinks about Snapchat and why it really is growing so strongly and so quickly is there aren't any likes to worry about, and all that social pressure is taken away from it. And people can kind of feel they can be themselves, feel that you can be kind of like you were saying with your brand. You don't have to worry so much about what you're putting out there. And then you kind of talked a little bit about how you look at different social platforms as if you're going to a party and how you interact with it as a team, because that's what you care about. So if you use Facebook, you post the best post pictures you took of your friends, tag them in it on Facebook, maybe not anymore. Few candidates, no alcohol in those photos because your parents on Facebook. Instagram, you take the most awesome photo of the night that really sums up like the ultimate experience, make it look like you're having the best time ever. And Snapchat is a little different. You post yourself getting ready for the party, going to the party, having fun at the party, leaving the party, getting food at the end of the party, and waiting on the next morning. You literally post all of this to Snapchat, which is why people are, we're talking about hyper-engagement here. People are not just like going on once a day, they're creating content consistently throughout their lives. We're going to talk a little bit to Kevin, Kevin about why he values Snapchat so much. I think he talked a little bit about
I can give a little background as to why I started to jump on the platform. So when we started making music with me and my brothers, we always used social early in the early days. We didn't always have the radio love that we did at the end, so we used other platforms. At the time, it was MySpace. MySpace for us was the big one. How many MySpace lovers do we have in the house? There you go. For us, we used that to engage with our fans before the Twitters of the world and before those things really blew up. And so we started doing little short form videos on YouTube, which is so funny because I went back onto YouTube and actually watched a couple of the things we created back in the day, and they were 15 seconds, and I realized, wow, we were doing Vine and Instagram video way before it was actually popular. So I felt like we were progressive in a cool way. But you can see some of the numbers here. On the Jonas Brothers Facebook page, we have 14 million likes, and then on my personal Twitter, close to 5 million. But on the top of my Twitter, on my thing, there's my QR code for Snapchat. So the cross-pollination, the cross-platform that I do, I want to make sure that people are where I'm putting content. And so this is one way that I saw benefit. But to show you those numbers, like I said before, that if I post the same picture on Twitter and get the same kind of higher engagement on Snapchat, of course, it's literally numbers. Like they don't lie. It's better. Why not? Yes, this lives on forever and it's a different thing, but anything I create in Snapchat, I always save down, and then 24 hours later, a couple hours later, I then repost on my other social channels. And Snapchat's not for everyone and not for every brand. It really is not, but there's a way to give a little insight into the backing of your company, and I think that's what's really cool. Like you said before, you shoot around the office, you tell a story. To me, this was always, Snapchat is your backstage pass into the life that you share in an office space, in a branded way, and then creating and telling amazing stories because of the Snapchat story aspect is very cool.
Yeah, and also I just wanted to add that I think you said you've got 100,000 impressions. So, how many of those are actually engaged, like really engaged in what Kevin's posting, and they might be scrolling past it. On Snapchat, they're actually clicking on, Kevin's actual story, and their fingers on their screen so that they're actually engaged, which makes it even more powerful.
Absolutely.
So there's
That's me.
So, Kevin, you've been, pretty heavily invested.
It's a great photo, isn't it? It's just like, I look miserable enough. I am engaged in the space, but absolutely. So I realized the value of Snapchat very early on. I started using it myself the day stories came into fruition. I always was like, let me see if my audience is here, and I knew instantly they were, just from my posting on other socials. That's immediately how I wanted to grow. The problem in Snapchat, the only real issue for brands and for people is discovery. So getting your username out there and getting people to find you in Snapchat and actually follow you, it can be difficult. Now that they've released QR codes, it's a lot easier. But it still can create some challenges. That being said, I knew that if I saw the benefit here, there's got to be brands that have as well. And I also wanted to see, all right, what are the influencers in this space doing? Because I've always loved influencer marketing. Taking a story, building it, and connecting it to a brand, and then sharing that and using their profile is really great.
And then obviously if you get the audience over and actually following you, you've got to keep them entertained and you want to actually watch your stories. So we're going to go into a little bit of what kind of likes to do on Snapchat.
Absolutely. So what you're looking at is a thumb war. So I connected with a guy named Sean Duras. You can go to the next slide, actually. He is an incredible Snapchat artist. So what he does is he actually draws these amazing Snapchat portraits and cartoons and different things. And so what we did was called the thumb war. He posted his, I posted mine. We challenged each other and asked our audience to get involved. So what we did was I posted this, he posted that. They're together, and we had the audience then send us snaps back of them drawing on their thumb. That night, I'd received 140,000 snaps from my audience, which was the highest engaged thing I've ever done on a social channel. And it was all happening on mobile only, which is incredible. Obviously, that's what we all care about. So that being said, I really was impressed with this platform. And this is the first time out the gate. So we started doing this more and more and more. And we actually connected it to a brand one other time. And we really just started to grow this into something. And I realized the benefit of working with these Snapchat influencers.
Yeah, it's just so fun for you.
Yeah. A couple of the brands that are really influential in the space, if you're actually just new to Snapchat or want to check them out, people like MTV, they announced their entire the VMAs for all of their nominations last year on Snapchat, which was really cool. They have continued story, but they're just behind the scenes. This is what Snapchat is. It's a quick look into the life behind the curtain of what's going on. So they always have these quick interviews with people and some really cool stuff.
Yeah, I think about this video actually real quick. You can see that kind of how low quality the production is for MTV. They always have pretty great TV content, but this is what we do on Snapchat.
The VA nominees are Barbara, Sam Smith, Rochester Summer, Charlie SCS,
for best sell are Pharrell Williams, John Legend, Ed Sheeran featuring Pharrell, Sam Smith, and Eminem featuring Rihanna.
That's good. As you can see, it's kind of crazy. It's not fully produced. It's in the moment. It's fun. Using talent from their shows, using other influencers. And what's really cool about it, which we saw it was really unique, was it's native to the environment. It has to be authentic. And if you're not doing something authentic in Snapchat, it just doesn't work. So that's why we've really aligned ourselves with these influencers that are really immersed in the space, and that's what's really worked. Brands like Mashable, they do some really cool things daily. They're shooting behind the scenes at their office. They're talking to the people when they're doing interviews. It's always an extension of the content they're creating for their platform. So if you're creating content for your site, for your clients, it's a really great add-on to say when you're doing the photo shoot, when you're making the blog post, whatever it might be, snap about it in a different way to give a little insight and a little bit of a different light. Mashable is incredible at this. This is an emoji challenge where they just had the audience add emojis to their daily life. It's just a fun way to get your audience engaged.
Yeah, they do a lot of different challenges. They want to keep it fresh. It's something silly, something goofy, but it works.
Grubhub is a leader in the space. In my opinion, they're probably one of the early brands that really adopted it. They actually have a professional doodler. Literally, that's the title. They actually hired someone full-time to Snapchat constantly and daily and engage. Last year alone, they had over 40,000 individual snaps sent to them and received. So what they did is every single thing that was ever sent to them in Snapchat, they opened and then replied with something authentic, which was incredible. Now, not every brand can afford that, nor can they have the time to do it or have the resources, but the benefit of doing this is they are now a pinnacle in this space and doing things that are unique. For example, what they did is give away coupons to only their Snapchat audience. So that would disappear. That's the benefit of Snapchat. It's heightened, it's fast, it's quick, and that alone allows for their audience to get something special that day and for that 24 hours. Or they could leave it up for only an hour and delete it, which is really cool, which is some things I've done before as well.
To watch their stories.
Yes.
There's like different types of on Snapchat that you're finding. These are kind of like some people for you to be able to follow as well and kind of see what different types of people are doing.
Yeah, there's 3 different types and tiers essentially of Snapchat influencers or celebrity. The first one is truly celebrities, people that you see in the public eye constantly that have personal accounts and they start to post them. Think people like Ryan Seacrest. He's constantly posting behind the scenes, whether it's American Idol, whether it's his show on Kiss, whatever it is, it's 900 jobs that he has that he's posting about. Kylie Jenner, she was actually just in the news recently for her Snapchat story. Not necessarily the best, but hey, whatever you got to do. Rihanna as well, actually posting music clips and behind the scenes of her tour, things like that go a long way with the audience. So that's like tier A. And then there's cross-promotion socials who they come from Vine, they come from YouTube, they come from all these places, and they've really built an audience there. Now they're in Snapchat. If they're making, like people like Jerome Jari and Brittany Ferlin making a large amount of money on their Vine just for a single post, and it's quick. For them to move off of that platform and start to fully focus on this, there has to be a reason, and that reason is the heightened engagement. And I think that's what people care about because it's a guaranteed. Like he said before, you have to hold down the phone to view the content, so they know their audience is truly watching what they're doing.
And all of these people, actually make really highly produced Vines now, Brittany and Jerome. And then Casey's a YouTube guy who makes exceptional YouTube video. And it's really interesting to see like the different types of content that push on Snapchat every day. So I recommend you actually take a look at these guys and see how they interact with their audience. And they kind of use that phenomenal nature of Snapchat to do different things.
But our favorite is the organic Snapchat artists. They are what make Snapchat kind of tick. I believe that this is some of the coolest things you will see every day. This is just a little taste of it. People like pretty much the face of Snapchat, Shonduras, who you saw earlier. Serene Q, she's incredible. She has this amazing cartoon-like drawing skill, and then M. Placo telling stories through their art. They're drawing on a screen, 6 inches, and they're making these things come to life. And these pictures, these selfies, it's so cool. And every single day they're delivering content that's unique. And that's what's so cool. So you connect them to a brand that has an exciting thing to share, they can tell that story. And I think that's what we'll dive into next. Yeah. So these are the kind of stories that brands have done. This is Disney. Disney World wanted to jump into Snapchat. They really wanted to show something really cool and magical about, of course, Disney World. We all know it's magical, but they weren't in Snapchat, so they wanted to find a really cool way. So what they did is they aligned with a couple different influencers. They had to do a 24-hour Snapchat story. So for full 24 hours, before the gates were open, all the way till the evening, they snapped the entire experience of Disney World, but they created the content inside of the space. Then they posted it on the Walt Disney World account, which was the key. They made all the content for Walt Disney. Then they posted it. They grew their account by 50,000 users in a single day. In Snapchat, that's an incredibly huge feat, and the engagement actually went beyond just Snapchat. It traveled to other socials. That's a huge benefit. For me, not many other socials travel. The conversation doesn't move. It stays within Facebook. It stays within YouTube. The comments are there. It doesn't go anywhere beyond that. Anything that happens in Snapchat feels exclusive, so they want to share it with the rest of the world. That is something that's very cool, and I think is a big benefit for a lot of brands.
So yeah, and the last one is to raise a social profile during playoffs. It's kind of a league that's gaining a lot of traction, and maybe want to take advantage of that. So, Kevin, want to explain?
Yeah, so they actually hosted a snap off between two different influencers each week with a certain brand alignment. So they had the fans vote on who they believe was the best snapper for that week, which was really cool. So it was essentially its own tournament. They voted by screenshots, correct? Yeah. So it's something native to the environment is screenshots. Taking a screenshot and saving it down, but it records how many that have happened. The way they made the voting is obviously it's like screenshot the one you like the best. They viewed all of this and tallied it up and made it kind of its own bracketed thing along with the MLS playoffs, which was really cool.
Yeah, so The Voice wanted to do something really special for their fans on Valentine's Day, kind of give them something to remember. So me and Kevin actually partnered up to create this one.
Yep.
Kevin, why don't you give a little bit of an intro and then we'll play the video after.
Great. So with The Voice, they wanted to have really heightened engagement. They really wanted to do something special, and so what we did is we created pieces of content for each one of the voice judges, and so each one of those voice judges had a piece of content that we delivered. So if you snapped and said, I would love to get a Valentine's Day wish or greeting from Adam, we then replied with Adam's greeting to you, which was really cool. So many snaps and so much content, but it was really effective, and this is some of the responses we got. They were really excited by him too.
What made Valentine's Day your best Valentine's Day and what you love that?
So things like that, it just goes a long way. It's simple, fun, and The Voice was really happy, and it's just they've really made a splash in the social space.
Yeah, there's literally thousands of those snaps. So you can kind of actually see the impression you're making on people, which I think is really special.
Yeah.
Okay, so Fox wanted to create an engaging story for PlayStation on Snapchat. Kevin?
One of the cool features of Snapchat that a lot of people don't know, it's a little hidden trick we can tell you right now. If you hold the phone and you touch the screen, it actually jumps from card to card. To give a little bit of background on what I'm talking about, if you post a 10-second video on Snapchat and then post a second one right behind, it plays for 20 seconds, not 10, pause, another 10. So you can actually build full 30, 60-second, 90-second pieces of content that play in line. And so by doing this little functionality, you can add card after card after card and create these beautiful, engaging pieces of content where you just hold down the screen and just tap, and you get to tell almost like a flip book story through Snapchat. And that's what we did with Ice Age.
So we had a screen queue, draw these out, and then have them all posted.
She drew every single one of these using the actual phone and her finger, which was an amazing feat. And
You don't have to draw something this good to make it work. But,
yeah, this is the 30,000-foot level. Yeah.
It's obviously really engaging, so Sprat's trying to get to the corner. I don't know if you ever watched it, but I said you can never quite get to the same corner you really want to be. And so he tries to get it, comes up the ice, it flies out of the phone. Then we had users snap back, hey, you find his data. So the four on the right, the top right, are actually all user submitted drawings. So they're people that are just, everyday people just drawing it. And it's quite surprising how good these snaps can be just from the audience. That thing is kind of the wrong way around, so sorry about that. But it says tap you, you scratch back to the acorn, you finally get it back to him, and sure enough, some bird comes shoots it away.
So telling these stories is really cool. Not everything can be as heightened as this. This is the higher produced element of Snapchat. But what we do find is things like this go a long way, but things about, hey, just saying hi from wherever I am goes a huge distance, but growth is the hard part. Now, of course, Snapchat just launched Snapchat Discover, which was a really, really big thing, and it has been huge for advertisers in the last, I'd say, 3 months.
Yeah, so Snapchat's been experimenting a little bit, adding it, so whoever may want to Snapchat, not influencers, is through Snapchat Discover. I believe right now 9 of the publishers offer the ability to place ads within their content. And the way that Snapchat Discover works is a little bit different. You kind of visit the screen that looks like that, and then you click on, any one of those publishers, let's say, and then you can swipe to the right to go view more content or a different story. And then in between that, obviously, the idea is to just place ads, kind of like, you might place an ad in between before like a YouTube video. And I think one of the cool things about it is that sharing externally directly from Snapchat to other social platforms is limited to Snapchat Discover right now. So this is an article posted by Abby yesterday, which is actually showing how people are starting to think about creating content for Snapchat so that is shared onto other social platforms from Snapchat Discover. These aren't really branded examples, but they're kind of thought starters. So, give users an image where they can decorate it with an emoji really easily. Maybe show their current meeting.
But those were the same exact things that those influencers were doing with their own personal audience before, about having them snap something like the acorn, like we showed before. So it's amazing that the content that's being created is exactly the things that the influencers were starting to do about a year and a half ago. And that's something that's really, really cool.
So, here's some other examples. So, maybe if Kevin saw one of these, like Kevin, what would you list as something that you like more than guacamole?
Oh man, I have a 15-month-old daughter, so I'd say her, Alina. There you go. Okay. Always go with the kid. It's a good crowd pleaser. And then what was that? Oh, I've done that. No, just kidding. No, it's I don't know, a bunch of songs, right?
How about this one? Let's have you
name a boat. Oh, well, we'll go with pop. I do not have a boat. Boat. What's that analogy? Boat stands for something. Just eating money, right? Yeah. No mas. If I was I'll just name it Pop Shorts. There you go. Yeah, there you go. There you go. I like it.
All right. So
this
a little bit about limitations and some questions to Kevin. And, how I'm thinking as a brand, this might be what I think is a limiting factor to Snapchat. How can you overcome that? So it's hard to build a large following with this great content.
Yeah. So everything you create in Snapchat can be saved down and then promoted to other socials. So after 24 hours later in the day, say, hey, check out the amazing story that we did. So cross promote, just like this, using QR codes. QR code is really special. All you have to do is take a picture of that in Snapchat, and you instantly follow the person. It's one of the only socials that's actually innovative in the following space. So discovering people has actually become much easier. Not many people are doing this yet that often, but brands are really starting to utilize it.
If it's confusing, just make sure you recommend the account underneath it.
Yeah.
All right, so there's no clickable links. Everyone wants to know the ROIs from pretty much any digital marketing, including social media marketing, or anything. So what can we do there?
Honestly, it's all about immediate giveaway. For us, it was always about content that gave something exclusive for the audience that was watching it, and obviously watching your drop-off. Drop-off is a huge one in Snapchat because of time differences in when you actually post from the first slide to the second, or what kind of content you're creating. You want to watch those things. Create content that you feel like can be played in a seamless way, like what we talked about with the Ice Age platform.
Yeah, there we got an example of drop-off, and you see like minus 31%. That's just because content was posted the next day, so the whole audience hasn't had a chance to view it yet. But what you do want to kind of take a look at is, say you post like a story that is 10 snaps long. What percentage of those people finish your story? Was it actually engaging and interesting enough to want to finish it? So these are kind of things you should look at for your Snapchat story. All right, so there's we're going around that. It's $750,000 per day to advertise Snapchat. We talked a little bit about Discover and how you can actually take out ads in it, and they're accommodating budgets from $50,000 to $500,000 per day. But if it's more expensive, that's still too expensive for you. Or if you don't want to use up your whole budget for so powerful.
It's an ad insertion, and you're not owning your own audience. It's all about growing your own audience and then owning them again, so that you can keep going back to them and telling them more compelling stories, and then going from there and saying you have a new initiative and you're going to share that with them as well. So building your own audience is key in this space. And the other option is work with influencers and build amazing stories and let them tell the story for you. Work really well and make it unique. Cool. Thank you. We're up for time anyway. That's perfect. Well, we can't end without a snap, so I got to take one of everybody. Here we go. Thank you so much, everyone, for having us. All right. So everyone say hi to my Snapchat. Okay. There we go. Say hi, everybody. You got to be way more interesting than that. Come on. There we go. All right. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.